Hello, my name is Anisha Johnson, and today the topic that I'm going to be talking about is shared governance in higher education. So before I talk about exactly what shared governance is, I actually want to talk about myself first, my current position, my future goals. So I actually started at Georgia Gwinnett College in 2012, and I graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology in 2016. I was a work study student in financial aid, so I already had an idea of working with college students and working in the higher education system. So when I graduated, I actually interviewed for a position in admissions, and I was able to become an admissions counselor. I've currently been at Georgia Gwinnett College as an admissions counselor for 3 years, and my primary responsibilities is to advise students about the admissions requirements, minimum GPA, also talk to parents. I'm involved in open house, tours, orientation, different things like that. And I'm also a recruiter, and that means I actually go out and talk to high school students. And the counties that I do have is I have 2 Gwinnett County schools, Fulton County, DeKalb, Clayton County. So pretty much I'm all over the place as far as talking to students. So I do have a big experience right now with working with students in higher education. Alright, so as far as my future goals, I have been working in admissions for 3 years, and I do enjoy working with college students, so I, of course, want to remain in higher education. And the next thing that I want to do to elevate my career is I do want to become an assistant director of admissions. With this position, I'll be able to be more hands-on as far as making decisions, new requirements, new policies as far as admissions goes. From there, I would actually love to be an academic advisor, and the reason I want to be an academic advisor is because although I work in admissions, I have a lot of students that ask me questions about what courses they need to take, questions about learning support, and I do want to be a academic advisor that works mostly with students in learning support, because I want to give that stigma away for students thinking that learning support is such a bad thing, because learning support actually can be a good thing as far as pushing students to be in that college level course and be prepared. So I want to make sure that students understand that just because you're in learning support, that's not a negative, and most times it can be very positive. And then from there, fingers crossed, I hope to be the dean of a school. Of course, I'm not sure what school I would want to be the dean of yet, but I would hope in the future that one day I can be a dean of a specific school. Okay, so now to get into my topic. So shared governance was very interesting to me because it's a method where the decisions are made collaboratively. So the definition of shared governance is, so it refers to the shared responsibility between administrators and faculty for primary decisions about general means of advancing the general educational policy determined by the school's charter. So in my opinion, shared governance is still pretty confusing, but this allows representatives from faculty members, from administrators, in order for their voices to be heard, in my opinion. So they make decisions based on curriculum, promotions, tuition and fees, extracurricular activities, pretty much everything that goes on around the campus. Okay, so what are the benefits of shared governance? So like I said, one of the biggest ones is that people are able to actually have their voice be heard and not be in the background sitting in. So I like this quote that I've seen: shared governance is about staff playing an active role in unit operations. So another benefit is the college community is represented overall. Like I said before, increased professionalism and accountability is very important, and retention of employees. So if employees are not able to express their concerns and make improvements and decisions based on different things, then they will just go to an institution that has that opportunity to express yourself and allow for your voice to be heard. So retention of employees is a big benefit of the shared governance method. Also, it's more effective and thought out decisions because it's not just a certain group. It's different people across the campus that has different perspectives and can give you more ideas on certain decisions that may be made across the campus that will affect the whole college community. Okay, so a big portion of higher education is the Board of Trustees. In the video, it talked a lot about the Board of Trustees, and the biggest thing is they do make decisions that will greatly impact students, so they need to make sure that their decisions are for the best benefit of the student, because it will impact them significantly. You need to embrace accountability, and they also talk about the cost of academic and non-academic programs like extracurricular activities, let's say sports, clubs, or organizations that are held on institutions. And they need to ensure diversity, because we live in a world where it's very diverse and everyone needs to be represented. I'm not sure if this video is able to play, but I do have a video.
The most important role that the board plays is the selection of a president superintendent. From there, the second most important is to determine those goals and those things that we want the president superintendent to accomplish during the year. But the most important role that we do is to hire the president superintendent. Then the administration and the employees work for him. He works for the board. We help to define policy. We approve policy. We approve policy changes. But our most important role is to hire the president.
So pretty much the video is talking about how they work very closely with the president on making decisions, and that's primarily their responsibility. So a little bit more information. They do need to guard academic freedom of students. Although we talk about a lot about academic freedoms with faculty members, we also forget that students need to have that right as well to have that academic freedom. They shouldn't exceed over 15 members, because we don't want too many hands in making a decision. We want to have a small group that is able to make those decisions. They're responsible to select an effective and innovative president. This president needs to understand what college community they represent, and they have to have an open mind and understanding that each college is different, each college culture is different, each student is different on campus, and that pretty much the decisions need to be based on the college culture of their institution. And I like this quote: trustees are supposed to act as mediating agents between interests of the institution and the needs of the surrounding society. Okay, so faculty members, of course, faculty members are very hands-on when it comes to the curriculum, and I like this quote used. They should have the first word when it comes to the curriculum, and their expertise must have a central role in shaping policies on academic quality. So overall, they're supporting an institution mission, so they need to make sure that they're making their decisions, and whatever decisions that they're making uplifts the overall mission of the institution. So their opinion is very important, because they're the ones teaching our students, so they're the ones that feel that will pretty much know what is needed in the curriculum and what students will need to learn. All faculty members, however, have certain common responsibilities to commit themselves fully to their teaching obligations, to participate in the development of the programs of their departments and schools and of the universities as a whole, to engage in scholarly articles, and as appropriate to support the university and its goals to render public services. And I actually got this quote from the University of Pittsburgh. And I just want to point this out again. Academic freedom is very important. You want to, of course, in the world we have freedom of speech, and we want to make sure that faculty members are comfortable enough that they can express their ideas, and then have ideas about research topics that students can do. So we want to make sure that our faculty members have that academic freedom and that that's not stripped away from them. Okay, so administrators support. So their biggest role is they do provide support network for faculty members. So they have to be that support system that helps some concerns and improvements and listen to the voices of faculty members. They also support the mission of the school, and they do maintain reports on daily operations and support committees around the school. They focus on the growth and prestige of the university. And I also like this quote: "The board should expect that the campus administrators will provide concise, thoughtful, and analytic information for which they will be held accountable." So they have to make sure that they understand that college specifically gather as much data to make improvements and to make decisions based on that data. And then this is pretty much just a representation of administrators. They have their hands tied in many different things. So like I said, they are that support system, so they have to make sure that they are all around campus. They have many responsibilities. So students. So although students are the ones that are learning this information, their voices are very important. So I like this quote: "Assessments of academic growth of students by external measures is central to evaluating whether or not the institution and its leadership are meeting their goals, and purely internal and self-referential assessments are not sufficient." So academic freedom for students is important. I actually have a video next that pretty much explains a little bit more about that. They provide the input on concerns on campus. All decisions made on campus should be made with the best interest of students. And then student representations are important. We have the student governing boards. Representation of the student is very important, because in order for our decisions to effectively impact the school, then we have to understand exactly what students need before we just go ahead and make these decisions. So I do have this short clip that just talks about the importance of student academic freedom.
Question that you wanted to ask, but didn't because you were afraid of what might happen? Because you might be laughed at? Because someone might get angry?
Scholars and students around the world ask questions. Questions about the environment. Questions about health. Questions about poverty and development. Questions about justice. Questions about truth. And the answers to those questions affect all of society.
But sometimes asking questions can be dangerous.
Academic freedom protects the right to ask sensitive, even dangerous questions. Not just scholars' questions, but the freedom for you to think and ask questions that really matter.
In this course, we'll ask what academic freedom is and why it matters not only to the scholars, but to all of us. We will talk about how you can promote academic freedom, and we want to know, what are your dangerous questions?
So I thought that video was very interesting because it does talk about a very sensitive topic of like student academic freedom, and pretty much why is it important in the higher education system, and then how we do have to protect this academic freedom for both faculty members and students. So within shared governance, of course, there are difficulties that come with this. And then one of the biggest ones is some institutions define shared governance different than others. So some institutions may have a different balance of representation for faculty members or students. So this balance may be different within different institutions. It's harder to make decisions with more parties. For example, like I said, the Board of Trustees should be only 15 people, but within shared governance, we have so many different people giving their input, so it can be a little bit harder to get everybody to agree on a certain topic or a certain decision. And then some groups may want more power in making consecutive decisions around campus. Of course, faculty members will want more hands-on as far as making decisions on the curriculum, which actually does make sense. And then this quote, trustees are beginning to avoid the term shared governance because they said it implies a level of collaboration that may not exist. So this is pretty much some of the difficulties. But overall, in my opinion, I think shared governance is a great method in the higher education system.